Hello, we are here on another episode of Talia Talks, one that is highly anticipated. I'm so excited to interview Miss Ms.Stone.
Hi, Talia.
Hi, I am so grateful for you to be here. We are going to talk. We're good. We're going to talk
Yeah.
all about you, who you are, how I met you, the fabulous things you wear, the fabulous things you do, your future, all of the energy that you're bringing to this space right now. So I'm just going to go right into the questioning because I know that we talked about it. So my first question is, what is the name of your business and why?
Okay, well, the name of my business is called Let's Talk Canabiz, and it's Canabiz with a B-I-Z. So my intentions with Let's Talk Cannabis was to create a platform that educated people about the legalized marijuana and hemp industry, and also to provide them with the necessary information and opportunities to participate in it. But most importantly, to highlight it in a form and fashion that's destigmatized the industry so people could understand that it was a legal industry that was ran by professional individuals.
You are outstanding. I love the name. I know that you are referred to as the queen, and I love that too. I think you're so regal and you're so beautiful in person. So I just
Oh,
again,
thank you, Talia.
oh, that's a fact. I again want.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And same to you, my dear. Ditto.
Oh,
Ditto.
thank you. Okay, so for those of you who are just joining us right now, I literally saw you at a convention. You were so beautifully dressed, and I think I just really came up to you and I was like, "Oh my goodness, your jacket!" Like,
Yes, you did.
you have that aura about you, and I'm just so grateful for you to spend some time. I know I've begged you for multiple interviews, so I've prepped you, and I'm like, this is one of many. So in the beginning, I just wanted to talk about like you and your history. So can you say a little bit around your background and why you became interested in spreading awareness in this specific industry?
Well, a little bit about me. I've always been a voice for myself and individuals. I've found it important to just be instrumental when it comes to helping other people. So it, just the my true composition is I enjoy helping others. There's nothing more enjoyable to me than seeing someone smile by, whether you're doing something for them, telling them something that's just putting them in a good place and space. So with cannabis, I've always had a passion for the plant, understood that it was a herb, but also was, experiencing the stigma that went along with it and the taboo, through my parents, and also, with criminalization and having friends and being in the era where people were being incarcerated for, small amounts and smoking joints and things of that nature. So there was a tremendous amount of fear around this industry. And it was hard for people to really accept and adapt to it becoming legal. And it was extremely critical to show people what that would look like. Not only what it would look like, but who would be the people behind it, which were professionals such as myself and lawyers and doctors and scientists. So people needed to understand what this industry was made of. What did it look like? Because they only identified cannabis as a controlled one substance, as an illegal drug. So it was a complete mind shift. It required reprogramming and, most importantly, re-educating. So education was the core component to really, moving the industry forward. It has been then, and it still is.
I'm so grateful for you. Part of my lived experience is I have someone in my immediate family who has epilepsy, and that person had a choice between what medications to take, and that person self-medicated with cannabis. And I remember being really young, having a sense of appreciation that this person in my family could elect to self-medicate with cannabis and have fewer seizures, which always really scared me as a young person. And I remember being so confused, then going out into the rest of the world thinking this is a good thing. In my home, it's seen as medicine, right, Leslie? And then going out into the rest of the world and understanding that it wasn't understood as such. So I am so grateful to you personally for just, carrying the message. And I know this is something that took years and time. And you're so beautiful and very articulate. So you're like the
Thank
number
you.
one person. Oh, it's a fact. So
Thank
I'm just
you.
really grateful that you started this conversation. Can you tell me, when you find yourself advocating or educating, what is like the number one thing that you want people to come away knowing, or like maybe the hardest message to get through to some folks as you were along your journey, raising awareness?
Well, I think the most difficult thing to get through is just, oops, uh-oh, my phone fell off the stand. The most difficult thing to get through is really reprogramming. Once again, it's kind of it's not kind of, it's the confusion. It's very confusing to people, as you indicated in your conversation a moment ago. Some people already know it and saw it as medicine. Although they knew and saw it as medicine, the world and society had criminalized it. So there was always that fearful component of being, jailed and just having a bad experience or encounter with law enforcement. So once again, what was most important was for people to understand that, yes, it has always been a medicine. It just didn't become a medicine. It was always known and documented as a medicine. But also to understand that it was now an industry that was ran by legal professional individuals such as law enforcement. Law enforcement is involved with it, attorneys, bankers, scientists, doctors. So we need to really expose that and allow people to experience it in a legal form and understanding how this looks like. And there's a lot of components to it, right? So understanding that it's an industry means that you have to understand that now it's not about just getting high. Everybody knew how to smoke a joint and refer to it as reefer, pot, ganja, whatever terminology they use. But now we had to shift the minds of that and have them understand that this is cannabis, which is a flower, which is a herb, which is a plant that has molecules that are very therapeutic. We needed them to understand the efficacy of this. How does this work with the body? What does it do for the body? So there was so much science and medicine that's engrossed into understanding legalized marijuana, especially from a medicinal side. And it requires it to be delivered from professionals so people can really see that no, it's not about getting high. It's about getting well. It's no longer a black market. It's a global market. So these are the things that people have to take away from the industry now.
Yeah, I think that you make such well articulated points. And for me, seeing you speak so eloquently about it, and the concentration on the professionalism, I think is incredible, because historically, anytime there's been something that women of color who have presided over, the government has sought to take it away from us or make us
Yes,
feel less powerful over it. So it's
yes,
incredible
yes.
for you to talk about the science. And I know there's amazing scientists who were behind that work. So when you're reading and you're doing research at this time, where are you looking for inspiration as you're going along your journey? Are there different like medical research journals? Because I get a lot of my information on Instagram. There's a platform called the New York Cannabis Times. I think I was talking to you about it, but I'm thinking,
Yes.
and also again, that person in my family through their science. But I'm wondering, if I didn't have those influences, where would I have learned about it? So I'm wondering, Leslie, like when you're doing your advocacy and forming arguments, where are you like, looking for inspiration?
Well, once again, it's really coming more high level. It's when you're talking about scientific, you're talking factual things. This is not hypothesis. These are not guesses. These are not assumptions. These are actual facts. So facts have to be facts. I love the internet, but the internet is not the most credible source, especially when it comes to Instagram and things of that nature, because of who are the contributors. Anyone can contribute to these platforms, and make no mistake, I'm not taking away from anyone's platform. However, I'm just saying credibility is the key to information and disseminating proper information, especially when you're dealing with medicine and science, right? So it's just like you have to compile the necessary research is where you get a lot of the information from when you're dealing on the high level. But once again, now with the internet, you can get a lot of consumer information. The understanding what people's ideologies are, and how people are becoming more accepting of cannabis, how it's becoming more mainstream and integrated into lifestyle. So I believe that every different platform and different ways that we utilize information and products, we are now seeing cannabis, grow into each of these various sectors, and now they have influence and impact because of it being an industry that's now legal.
I also want to, I think, acknowledge the tremendous leadership that we have in New York State around kind of sharing information. I had a friend who was on one of my other shows, Jorge, who was talking about the Office of Cannabis Management and the incredible work that they've done with QR codes and things to really kind of, as you said, Leslie, like give the customers and the consumers that feeling of market support that they do when we're buying anything else. And that includes for me reviews. Like I need to know what 18 other thousand people thought about this. But Leslie, thinking about where the market is trending right now, what do you think is one of the most exciting opportunities or things that you would want to tell someone coming into the industry today?
Well, have audacious goals. I mean, think big, because this is a huge industry and there's tremendous amount of opportunities here. Um, I tell people there's so much you can do. There's not much that you cannot do in an emerging industry. So the sky's the limit. And I really want to really put out there the importance of creating things, because it's a new industry. It's so important for people to create, and don't think that you're doing something so far-fetched or out of this world, because those are some of the best creations and ideas. So there's a place for anyone in this industry at this moment. There's so many different parts and different variables. Like, it's not just about cultivation, growing. You have the ancillary businesses that you can do. You have media. You have retail. You have
Food. I'm sorry,
hospitality.
Leslie, food. I'm so excited about the food part.
Yeah, you have food. You have. I mean, so it has now, integrated in every sector in our economy. So there's so many different ways to get involved in this industry. Whether you want to be a patient, an investor, entrepreneur, an advocate, there's a place for you. Like I tell people, come grow and cultivate.
That's incredible. I think for me, so much of the conversation as a policy analyst, like when I put my policy hat on, is like I feel lucky that I'm able to see what I really truly believe is a demonstration of the strength of American democracy, specifically New York State, that we're able to kind of not do a full 360, but use public policy to incrementally make a statement to the people of New York and say, hey, this is a policy perspective we have this information, and now our perspective has changed. And I think doing that in a way that's peaceful and civil and benefits people collectively is like the power of democracy. So I feel really lucky as like a historian to kind of see everything go down. But then as a public policy analyst, I'm like, but what about equity? But what about this? But what about that? But there's so much happening in such a short time. My focus then becomes, to your point, innovation. Like, what are the new things that people are doing and the new ways that they're using events, and to your point, or have been doing, to be able to bring this conversation along. So let's talk about giving Leslie a little credit, which it doesn't seem like you like to do. But Leslie, let's talk about, for you, from your perspective of being a trailblazer in this industry, how important was or is your continued presence in the media and the platform platform that you created in terms of sharing information and kind of changing the tide for some of the people in your network?
Well, I believe what it is that it becomes about credibility. Now that I have such a long-standing tenureship in the industry, I've been immersed in the industry for almost 10 years now, reigning out of New York, right out of the heart of Harlem. And I have always been the voice for the underserved communities. Um, and really making sure that they got this information as soon as possible and as accurately as possible, to the best of my ability. So that was what I really made my staple or my imprint in the industry as a voice, an educator, a person who disseminated information, a person who highlighted the accomplishments of those others, and just being a person that brought that to the forefront. At the time that I had done it, it wasn't being done. So it was so critical at that time. However, now, fast forwarding 5, 7, 10 years later, there are plenty of media platforms. However, it's all about creating information that's engaging and allowing people to have the opportunity to choose what they want to do. I really commend New York State on the approach that it has taken with legalizing cannabis. And I believe New York will be a capital in making one of the most historical frameworks when it comes to inclusion and equity. I am really, proud of what I see our state doing for our people and for those that have been harmed by the war on drugs, because no one had gotten it right. And let me tell you, you don't get it right, but you can resolve it, because see, once again, it's so new. And what New York has done, it has created a platform where people can be involved, the people that's impacted, the people who are operating the businesses, their voices are being heard. So they're creating things that's based on what's really truly happening in real time for the people. So yes, the democracy of New York has stood bold and proud, and I waver no other state when it comes to a place that is really showing the people. And we have a density in a population of, I think, about 9 million at this moment. So to be able to engage and disseminate information and reach the various types of people, because it's the melting pot of culture, to be able to disseminate information in various languages, to go into various communities and reach all of the individuals, is something that New York seems to have a good grasp on. And I am so proud to be a part of that state and just understanding the importance. So yes, we have a long road ahead of us, but once again, we're paving that road. And that's why it's for us, by us. And it's a great
Leslie, you have
opportunity.
paved the road. I know that identity specific platforms, occupational specific platforms are so important. They've done
Yes.
amazing things. I have a workshop, and I think I was talking to you about this, one that I want to plan in the future about Latina specific identity platforms,
Yes. Hmm.
which going to law school, going to med school, so much of your vision of sharing the message in the media, I think, has to do with the strength of your I don't want to say appearance. I want to say presentation, because it's so much more than your appearance, right? A lot of it has to do with your spirit and how eloquent you are. So, my last question, because this is going to be one of many, and I know that I have friends watching. Literally, I'm thinking two of y'all who went to St. John Fisher with me who are going to hit me up, Leslie, after they watch this and be like, introduce me to her. If they don't already know you, because they're in this field and they're bright business people. I know they're going to be drawn to your interview. So, coming close with part one, right, of what I really kind of see, not to overcommit, is like a 4-part series, is like for me, when you think about putting yourself out in the media and the pressure of presentation, what was it like when you may have been the only voice in the room, sharing the information, and kind of how did you prepare yourself for those days?
Well, when you're the only person or one of few at the time, you're looked at differently. You are the disruptor, right? So you're the disruptor. So you have to really come in armed and ready to combat. And when I say combat, it's more being able to rebuttal with accuracy and factual information, right? And I think that's where, at that time, because it was not so mainstream, it was very challenging. People constantly challenged the things I would say, and it was more, you had to be visual. I just couldn't say it. I had to show them at that time, because during that moment it had not been seen yet. So to tell them, it's like, okay, you say it, but they hadn't seen these different types of cannabis products. They didn't know that you could consume in a cannabis lounge. These things had never been exposed to the East Coast as of yet. So it was really reprogramming and really opening up the minds. But once again, now fast forwarding, cannabis is so mainstream because now it's on television every day. We have commercials. It's a lot easier now to provide more information, because we've already broken the stigma. We've actually, transitioned most of the non-believers into believing in cannabis as a medicine now. There's been a tremendous shift in the mindsets of the population when it comes to cannabis usage and legalization. So the hard work is done, right? And now it's about ensuring that those that want can be involved, and those that need it as a medicine can have access. That's where we are now.
Absolutely. And just to bring session one, hopefully a four, to close, one of the things I'm excited about is seeing people, but specifically women in my community who I think you've acknowledged have disproportionately bore the brunt of mass incarceration because of cannabis prohibition, be able to take a foot out in business and to say, I have these experiences, but they're going to motivate me. And it really kind of has, at least for my one friend, her given her entire family different energy about an experience that at one time brought a lot of pain to them. So it's like this healing, but through business. I call it economic restorative justice, and I love it because those are my two favorite things. So
Yes,
I want to encourage people, Leslie, to follow you on LinkedIn, if that's okay. I know I'm
yes.
following you on LinkedIn right now. To please come back to this space where they will see you
No,
on my
and
YouTube.
follow us on our Instagram. Follow us
Oh
on our
yeah,
Instagram. Most
oh yeah.
important.
I'm gonna link you. I already have you added in my stories, but I didn't share it yet because I wanted to make sure. But I need them to follow you on your Instagram. Also, I'm going to make sure that they know how to see your LinkedIn, because I think that one of the things that is so fantastic about you is how eloquent and professional you are, and how streamlined all of your presentation, your branding is. I was a little nervous to interview you, and I was like, just and we talked this morning, so I was like, just be brave. But I'm just so grateful that you are providing such a good example for myself and for my colleagues who are coming into business, and also, with those values and the history and all of like the energy that our identities bring to us as business people. Like you
Yes.
like embody that. Like you are like the perfect example. As we come to close, is there one thing that you would want to tell like someone who is in business today, maybe not specific to this industry, but is maybe feeling discouraged or something like that, maybe some point of motivation or something that you always found strength in?
Well, I always said I have two things. I say you never give up and you never give in.
See?
Never give up and never give in. Okay. Um, Life has challenges. It's just that simple. But it's about being persistent and consistent. And that means never giving up and never giving in, and overcoming the obstacles on the course. Okay. Nothing good comes easy. So we have to really, endure to reap some of the benefits. And a lot of times people just kind of give up or just get discouraged very easily. And make no mistake that there will be challenges. I face challenges each and every day almost. But the key is to overcome the challenges. And that's what brings the success.
Thank you, Leslie. So that is the end of session 1 of 4. Thank you for tuning into Talia Talks with Let's Talk Canabiz. Please follow Leslie on Instagram and on LinkedIn, and please come back next Tuesday for our next edition.
Thank